You ready to get started, Jess?
Born ready. I'm Jessica Foster, and I am so happy to be here. At the national conference, I spoke about outbound lead generation and systems for scalable growth. And I spoke about all the outbound possible other than realtors because Jay owned that topic. My claim to fame is that I was pretty good at growing portfolios for others, and then I did so for myself. And in the property management world, growth is my middle name. So excited to be sharing the stage with Jay today on this workshop, and really excited to see how today impacts your business because growth happens to be my second favorite topic. So, PR, and thanks for joining.
So, for those of you who I did not meet, I was speaking in the other room at the same time as Jessica Foster at the national conference. And my talk was 0 to 350 in 2 years and building a realtor referral program. Jessica and I are both with Better Who, and we decided, since we were both presenting at the same time at the conference on growth, that we would do this workshop afterwards to combine those ideas and to help you guys put together a plan that you can put in place in order to grow. So building the referral engine that grows itself. There's nine pieces to this that we're going to be discussing today. And Jess and I will walk you guys through that. So, oh my God, Big Ken Ravago, how you doing, buddy? From I see you front and center, my buddy from Las Vegas.
How you doing, Jay?
Hey, how's it going? So we're gonna cover these nine key areas, and we're gonna start with the goal, right? So you guys be ready to take some notes as we're going through, so that you can identify what is specific to you and what's not. Jessica and I will be going back and forth in discussion, and at any time, feel free to drop a comment in the chat if you have a question or something like that, or and then we can address it later as we go. All right, Jess, you ready to go? Jess?
Ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Okay, don't put yourself on mute anymore.
I'm not going to. I mean, if I have it.
Awesome. All right, cool. So setting the goal, right? Whenever if we want to grow, if you want to grow your door count from 200 to 300, right? What we hear a lot, Jessica, let me know if you hear this from your coaching clients as well. What's your goal next year? Well, I want to grow my door count. And then it's left at that, right? Without looking at it any more deeply. Do you hear that?
Yep.
Yep. And what are some of the questions that you ask at that point, Jessica, in order to identify what is the real goal?
Well, we need to know what exactly the number is. So it needs to be measurable, right? So when you say my goal is to grow, the questions I have, okay, how many do you want to grow by? And have you at all factored in churn? Because if you say, I want to grow by 100 course, and your churn for this last year was 15%, then what do you actually need to grow by to factor in and account for churn the following year? So we don't come up short.
Yeah, exactly. I was just on a call earlier, and the number was 350 doors by the end of 2026. And by the way, if you're not setting your goals for 2026 yet, you should absolutely start doing that right now. If you don't, Thanksgiving will get in the way, Christmas will get in the way, excuses will get in the way. But this is the right time to start planning for your 2026. you should have two critical numbers. And one of those critical numbers is door count. But as a bonus, the other critical number is going to be tied into your revenue or your profitability. You get to choose. But for the first one, door count, let's say the goal is 350 and you have to, if you're at, say, 310 right now, you have to account for your churn and you want to base that on gross doors. So let's say that your churn is going to be 30 doors anticipated if you're at 310. So you take 310 minus 30, you're at 280. That means that you need to add 70 gross doors over the course of the next year. To add those 70, what I like to do is 72 would be an easier number, right? Because when you have 72, if you divide that by 12, and this is, I know, sorry for the complex multiplication and division here, that's 6 new doors a month. So what we're doing is we're breaking it down, right? When you have your annual door growth goal, you break that down. How many do you need per quarter? How many do you need monthly, weekly, daily, right? I mean, not necessarily daily with your growth goal, but what are those things that you need to do daily? And I don't know about you, Jess, but sometimes if it's a new lead source, I don't necessarily have the goal as 6 new doors per month. It might be 4 new doors in the first couple of months, and then it might scale up from there so that by the final couple of months, you're adding 8 new doors instead of 6. So it doesn't have to be an average over the entire year. Is that the same way that you approach it, Jess, or do you look at it any differently?
Well, I have clients that do it that way, and I have clients that do it like 6 across the board, knowing that in the first few months, if they are working a new lead source, they might fall under that 6 number. And later on in the year, they might have a month or two where they're above that number 6. They're bringing in 8 or 9, making up for the earlier months. But I do have clients who stagger their monthly numbers, factoring in, and these are the BDMs that are more seasoned and kind of know, okay, these months each year are a little bit slower, so I'm probably going to set my goal for 4 these months or for 3, and then I'm going to pick it up in these busier months, usually spring and summer, where I'm going to bring in 2 or 3 extras. And their goals are probably a bit more realistic, but that's because they have experience to go off of, whereas newer BDMs don't really know what to expect. So sometimes it's safer to just take that goal straight across the board and make up the difference as we go.
Yeah. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but you should know what your approach is. And the main idea is you have to have your goal for door growth. You have to take into account churn and then break it down and make sure that you know, or your BDM, whoever's doing the business development, knows exactly what is the target on a monthly basis. Super important to know that before anything else. Okay. So we know that we have a goal, right? So we define the goal and it has to be specific and measurable, right? Clearly defining what success looks like. But when we look at where do we want to go, we also have to look at where we are now. Okay. How many leads do you have coming in now and from where? So Jess, when you look at the amount of leads that are coming in and where they're coming from, what are some of the questions that you would ask or you would have ask one of your coaching clients?
I would ask, how many leads do you have coming in each month and where are they coming from? And then my coaching clients will tell me all sorts of things. They're coming in from my website. They're coming in from my Google reviews. They're coming in from referrals. They're coming in from the paid lead source that I use. They're coming in from advertisement, sign calls. They're coming in from, whatever the source. But I want to know how many are coming in and where are they coming from to identify which sources are producing the highest amount of leads, and then what the conversion is from those sources.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So we want to know where we're going, and we have to know where we are. And think about a road trip. If I'm driving from Charlotte, North Carolina to Denver, Colorado, there's it's like any plan, right? We have to know where the destination is. We have to be clear on it. We have to know our starting point, how much money we have in our pocket, where we're going to stop along the way. Essentially, we're building a roadmap, right? This is a growth roadmap. Third on this list are habits. Jess, I know you are very adamant about creating the right habits. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So when we're forecasting for growth, it's a little bit difficult to know exactly how many leads we're going to get from each source. And it's a little bit difficult to know what the temperature of the market is going to be a year from now. But what is not difficult to know is how your behaviors and your activities and actions can directly affect the outcome of the number of leads you're generating based on how you turn up or turn down your daily activities. So I'm a firm believer in habits. I think that it's pretty easily translated as, if I need to make 10 phone calls a day to equal the number of calls I need to make 50 calls a week to a specific target audience, right? It's so much easier to think about it as 10 a day than 50 a week, because if I'm looking at the number 50, it's overwhelming, right? But if I'm looking at the number 10, it's a smaller bite, right? Elephants, we eat elephants in small bites, not one big gulp. Well, equally so, you've got other things to consider. Where are you going to get the names for the people you're going to call? And how much time are you going to allot to preparing that list for those calls? Because you're not going to sit down on a Monday morning and first look up 10 people to call and then call 10 people and have that be successful. You need to proactively during the week be adding to your calling list from the back end, so that on the front end down, you never run out of people to call. A daily habit that a lot of people overlook is backfilling the list that you're calling from. So just like I have to call 10 people a day, I also have to source 10 more people to add to the bottom of that list, so that a week from now, 10 days from now, however long that list is, I don't run out of people. I'm a firm believer in habits, daily habits, and I'm a firm believer that if we successfully accomplish our daily habits week after week, those habits become routine, and that routine produces the results that we're striving for when we're setting our goals. But it starts with a little habit, it becomes routine, and then becomes ritual. That's my point of view on it. Jay, do you want to give yours?
Yeah, Jess, thanks so much. I know how passionate you are about habits, and I am too. You have three kids. I have two, all around the same age. My kids are 12 and 13. And creating healthy habits is essential for everything that we do if we want to make it make it a must. So starting small is important. I always give the analogy of, like, if I want to start going to the gym again, uh, I can't make it seem like this big daunting task. I have to get in the I have to start doing it first, right? I have to create a healthy habit. So the first day, I might just show up at the gym, and maybe I don't even do anything. I might just walk out the door. But guess what? I showed up, right? If I show up the second day and then I do something, right? Like, I'm starting to stack these habits, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'll be in a good rhythm and I'm starting to do the things and I'm showing up. Some of the habits that are examples of what you might be looking at either creating or improving to add your doors would be blocking time on your calendar. And I know for me, when I was in my prospecting mode, doing all of my outbound, I would make, and I know Ken and Chris, there's a few people on this call, Tal, lot on this call that know about what it looks like to block time on your calendar and to make outbound calls. This would be my habit. My habit would be to get into the office at 7:15, and I would get organized till 7:30. From 7:30 until 8 o'clock, I was doing some role play. And then from 8 to 11 a.m., I had a habit where I was on the phone making the calls. Habits are so important. And I would, like Jessica said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't want to just jump in and think that you're going to conquer the world at once, but do it in a manageable way. And if you're like me, I mean, like a lot of times I'll jump in and I'll be extreme about things and really hold my feet to the fire, but everybody's different. Know yourself, right? Know thyself.
I have a great example of habit, a habit that helped me, and it's not about growth, but you can relate it back to growth. So, does everybody remember when the Pelotons first came out, the Peloton bike? Oh, I wanted a Peloton bike so bad, but I'm super frugal and they were super expensive. Now you can get one on Marketplace for like $150, $200. But back then they were like super, super expensive. And I wanted a Peloton so bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to get this Peloton, but I'm not going to treat this Peloton like every other gym membership. Nope. I'm going to make a rule. I'm going to implement a habit, which is no matter what, no matter how I'm feeling, what's going on, what day of the week it is, no matter what, every single day for the entire first month I have this Peloton, I have to go out in the garage where I put it in the garage. I have to go out in the garage and at least just sit on it every single day for 20 minutes. Now, nobody's going to sit on a Peloton and not do anything on it for 20 straight minutes unless, I don't know, unless you're weird. I couldn't do it. So every single day for 31 straight days, I sat on that Peloton, and you better believe I did something while I was sitting on it. But then what I learned on the Peloton was you can actually compete against yourself. Well, you can compete against other people too, but you can compete against yourself. And so that habit became a routine. And then that routine became this super fun game for me to consistently beat myself. And I don't think I missed a ride on that Peloton for like 300 straight days. Cause I remember when it said it was ride 300 and it was the biggest accomplishment. And I was like, okay, I got my money's worth out of this Peloton. Right. And I was telling everybody about how great I was doing on this Peloton. It's a Peloton. But for me, it was so important that I didn't just waste that money on that Peloton. And it's the same thing. Don't waste your effort. Don't waste your abilities. Just because something might be hard or seem like it's unattainable, set little tiny habits to force yourself to accomplish the goal. Sitting on the Peloton every day for 20 minutes for 31 days, it created something in my mind where every day after that, I knew I needed to go sit on that Peloton. That first day I didn't sit on the Peloton, which was like day 300 and something. Man, I felt like I failed the whole day. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't sit on my Peloton today, right? So I sat on that Peloton twice the next day and I felt better about it. And that's the second lesson. If you fall off the horse, you get right back on. If you're supposed to do 10 calls a day and something happens and you miss those 10 calls, add those calls into the rest of your days. Finish the week with your goal number. Don't finish your week with 5 short, 10 short because you had a bad day. Just add it on, right? Finish your week strong.
Yeah. And speaking of, hitting those numbers, right? That's number 4. That's if it's not tracked, it won't stack. To hit my numbers, I know one of the things that I learned was I would have a clothesline, and my goal was 30 contacts a day. And on that clothesline, I would have $5 bills. And at one point I had $100 bills. I was so intense and serious about it. But I would have $5 bills and I would have 30 of them. And after every contact, I would take one of those fives, put it in my pocket. That was my money. Anything left on the clothesline at the end of the day, that had to be donated. So whatever I didn't make in contacts, that money was donated. It was an easy way for me to check it off and an easy way to help me hold myself accountable and hit my numbers. Speaking of numbers, though, on this specific topic, we have to get our numbers, and there's certain numbers that we need to be tracking, right? Jess, do you want to start on this one?
Well, they're all listed right there. But super important I like to work backwards, right? So that's just the way my brain works. So I'm going to talk about it backwards. Oh, look.
There we go. There we go.
All right. So when I'm thinking about tracking my KPIs, I start with what's the number of doors needed, right? And it's, again, we talk about what's the goal for the year, break it down into quarters, break it down into months, break it down into weeks. When you're tracking your numbers week after week after week, super important to start with how many deals you need to close that week. You can work backwards from there. If I need to close 6 doors this week, I'm sorry, it's 6 a month, right? That we're talking about?
Yeah.
What are we doing? 6 a month? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
let's go with that.
So if we need 6 a month, then we need 1.4 a week. Let's just go with we need 1 to 2 a week. If I need 1 to 2 doors closed a week, how many appointments does that mean I need? Right? And in terms of appointments, where are those appointments going to come from? They're going to come from referrals and they're going to come from follow-up that I'm doing either throughout my drip campaign or just manually, whichever it is that you're doing. So how much follow-up do I need to do? How many referrals do I need to receive? How many appointments do I need to set to be able to convert referrals to appointments and referrals to closed doors? And then how many networking events do I need to go to, and how many calls do I need to make to be able to add into the top of my funnel new names, new leads, new connections for the week? So if you work backwards, right, maybe it's going to be something like you need 50 new leads a week, and you're going to get those by making 70 phone calls and attending 2 networking events. And of those, you need to set 4 appointments for the week. Maybe those are one-on-ones, maybe those are listing appointments, whatever it is, you need to be meeting face-to-face with people 4 times a week. And of those appointments, maybe a couple of them are one-to-ones, so they generate 2 referrals. And of those 2 referrals, right, 1 converts to a door. And of those other connections and other contacts we make, how many follow-ups do we need to do on those? Well, maybe it's upwards of like 25 follow-ups, right? Or whatever it is. If you're tracking it, you can always adjust it. But if you're not tracking it, you don't know if you're on or off target. The reason that we track KPIs is so we can identify highest and best use of our time and highest and best production of our efforts, right? So if I'm making 70 calls a week and I'm only producing 2 appointments out of those and I need 4, then I know that whoever I'm calling or what I'm saying when I'm calling needs to change.
Yeah, exactly. It's the numbers provide so much insight, just like everything in our property management business is data. And when we track the data, we can make data backed decisions. Same thing. So think about if the goal is 6 new doors, and in order to get 6 new doors, let's say that means that you need to go on 12 appointments because maybe you only convert half of those, right? Well, out of those 12 appointments to get to the 6 doors, it's likely there's something in that step that needs to improve. And maybe it's your presentation. Maybe it's that there's too much time in between when you set that appointment and go on that appointment. Or it could be that you're setting appointments with bad leads, right? But it's all in the numbers. The information is all in the numbers. So PMAs signed, appointments, and then you back it out to the amount of leads that you actually need to get there. We're going to look at lead source now, which, these lead sources here are related to referral partners, which is what both Jessica and I's presentations were on. But if you are currently getting business through, through just your Google My Business profile by having a good reputation, or if you're paying for leads, whatever lead source that you're getting, there's a certain cost that's associated with that. And there's also a different conversion rate that you get. So, for example, if you get a referral, that's usually a much higher conversion rate than if you have a cold lead, if somebody's just shopping around. So we want to find the right lead source. You want to find the right lead source for you that has the lowest acquisition cost and that you have the closest proximity to. And this is a great list of potential referral partners or referral hubs, right? Jess, do you want to talk more about this piece?
Sure. So I feel strongly about the success of a referral partner program. When I'm looking at acquisition cost and, conversion ratio, I know that, yes, absolutely. Realtors probably for many people are the highest referral source. I also know that from my experience, every realtor has like 7 property managers that they work with and refer to because they don't want to narrow their target, right? Because they're getting referrals from these property managers too. So they're working with multiple property managers. So I'm competing with multiple property managers when I am working with a realtor. Those realtor referrals are amazing. Conversion rate on them should be above 50%. You know, it's a win-win. But when I was tasked with growing a portfolio fast and furious, and I needed more than just realtor referrals, I started thinking outside of the box. And I got this idea from the concept of BNI. So BNI, Business Networkers International, is a group of business people who want to network back and forth and share business. The rule in BNI is that there's one seat in every chapter for each industry. And that just didn't work for me because I felt like I needed more than one. So I built out this list of people who I thought would be great referral partners whom were not realtors, right? But they were in an industry that was running parallel to real estate in some degree, real estate sales or property management, because I knew that they had clients that could and would benefit from my services. And I knew that I had clients that could and would benefit from their service. The whole concept of BNI is givers gain. I want to give business to you. So in return, you want to give business to me. That's where I started with it. I thought of this list of people who I could reach out to and say, hey, from time to time, I receive requests from my book of business for referrals to people who do what you do. I checked out your Google reviews. I checked out your website. It looks like we're aligned in a lot of ways. Would you have 10 or 15 minutes to meet with me and chat about your business goals and what a great referral is for you so I can make sure that the people I have and I work with would be great referrals for me to send to you? Not a single person ever told me no to that because they wanted business. Another qualifying question I asked them was, if I felt like I didn't have 15 seconds to say my spiel, the very first thing I would say, especially if a gatekeeper answered the phone, that would be like a receptionist or the person who's paid to keep people from bothering the CPA or the attorney. The first thing I would say would be, hi, my name's Jessica. I was calling to see if you're accepting new clients or if any agent, attorney, broker, whoever in your office is accepting new clients. Boom, I'm in. You know why? Because, yeah, somebody there is accepting new clients. And now we can talk about that. It wasn't a lie either. I had referrals to give. I knew for sure I had between 1 and 3 referrals to give every single person that I connected with. So it was a win-win. And that's how we started the conversation. For me, when I implemented a referral partnership program, the craziest thing happened. I still got the same amount of referrals from realtors that I always got. But after 2 years of focusing on this, my number one source of referrals changed from realtors to referral partners. And remember, I said I still was getting the same number of referrals from the realtors I was working with. So my referral partnerships overtook that big number of referrals I was getting. And my conversion on referrals from my referral network was above 80%. The highest and best use of my time was in working these referral sources. And eventually I moved realtors over into my referral network database. And I worked the realtors the same way as I worked all these people. Same drip campaign, same, same touch points, same reach out, same pop buys. I did it all together and aligned. And the third takeaway from this referral pipeline was that in the third year, I started getting so many referrals from connections from these referral partners. People I didn't even have to develop relationships with because the referrals started coming from other industry leaders, other industry folks who would reach out to a CPA that I was connected with and say, hey, do you have a great property manager you work with? Because I've got A, B, C, D, and I don't have anyone to refer them to. And so I was getting, I call it 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I was like the 6 degrees
Yeah.
of Kevin Bacon for property management. I was getting calls and referrals from everyone. And it was so great. And it was because of this referral pipeline. So I love talking referrals, but I really love talking this referral source because it changed my business so quickly and so effortlessly. It was all about relationships and connection.
Yeah, it stacks, right? And everybody on this call will have one of these connections or a realtor referral partner or a broker because of their referral hub. We have a client who has access to a couple thousand agents in a brokerage that they're associated with. I had on the realtor referral side, I had a brokerage that we had the exclusive on, and that was 1,100 agents that they had. I had a client, a coaching client who got 300 new doors from an eviction attorney. I did not even think eviction attorney until she told me that
Mhm.
on her reach outs, one of the people that she wanted to, call and was an eviction attorney. And I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. So, the point is take a look at this list and start with one or choose a realtor referral partner and let that be who you pursue first. Next, now we have to look at the activities, right? What activities need to happen in order to get there? And let me get to this one actually. So with those activities, each lead source is going to need different activities, right? But the point is, if we backtrack, just to recap so far where we're at. So setting the goal and being crystal clear on what that goal is, that right number. The second is where to start. So where you're starting from. The third point that we touched on was habits and creating those healthy habits. Then we talked about numbers and then identifying the lead source and now the activities. So you can see how all of these things tie into each other because if you don't have healthy habits and if you don't time block, then when are you going to do the activities? Right? If
Well, I
you,
could tell you, you're not going to do them.
you're
That's
not
the
going to do it.
issue. You're not going to do them.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry to
And
cut you off, but I'm going to be blunt about it. If you're
no,
not
that's a,
preparing to do it and you're not setting time aside to do it, you're not going to do it and you're going to prioritize other things in front of it because why? Why don't we do the things we need to do?
If it's not in a calendar, it doesn't exist.
Correct. Because if we're not planning, we're failing.
Yep. So the activities are going to be reflected upon which source you choose, right? And your style. So you might be someone who's better face to face, right? Like, I don't know. I think I have a face for the phone because I was always good on the phone. But, some people are much better face to face. So you have to see what your superpower is and have that in your plan and focus on that. Looking at actually the obstacles is the next piece. So you have your source, then you have your activities. The obstacles are going to get in the way. So you have distractions. Okay. And I know that anybody on this call can bring up the excuse that, well, I had this other thing come up, right? Like there was this fire, like this fire that took place, like there was a maintenance issue that only I could handle, or, I had to drop off somebody keys, right? Like, yeah, but think about it. If you make a commitment to pick up your kids from school each day, but that's a commitment, right? It's important. It's a priority. You're going to do it because if you don't, then things fall apart, right? Somebody kidnapped your kid. You don't want to take that risk. Well, same thing, right? I mean, like, make this a must. If you have it blocked, you have to do the things, right? You can tell yourself a different story and you can get in your own way, right? When the alarm goes off at 5:15 a.m., you can make all the excuses in the world of why you just don't want to get out of the bed to go to the gym. But if it's a must, then you will do it. Capacity, schedule, right? So if you have too many things going on, you have to solve for that potential obstacle. So, I'm not here saying that no matter what, tomorrow you should be able to do this plan. Well, I mean, maybe not, right? Like you have to start somewhere, but let's look at where your capacity is, right? Are you overloaded? If so, brainstorm the things that are overloading you, and that might just create a job description of somebody you need to hire, or it might be things that aren't really worth your time as the business owner or as the business development person, but you have to solve for capacity because that's an issue. Mindset, having a strong mindset, that's critical to because I mean it's not easy when you're making outbound calls, right? Like it's not always easy. Rejection is something that's real. So you have to have a strong mindset. Accountability. Jess, you're really strong with accountability. Can you talk about that?
Okay, secretly, accountability is my favorite subject. But when I say it, people look at me like I have four heads. And I didn't want to say it in the beginning of this call because I was worried people would jump off the call.
Hmm.
Accountability is key. I can say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I can block my calendar. I can schedule like no one has ever scheduled before. But if there's not someone who I have to be accountable to at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month, then those excuses and those obstacles and those fires are always going to win. We keep relating things back to the gym, right? But true story, like I wanted to get healthy and I tried every which way to do it. And until my best friend was like, let's do it together, I wasn't successful, right? It's just something about having someone to fess up to. We talk about reporting KPIs. Why is reporting KPIs so helpful in business? Because when someone has to out loud report their numbers to a group of people who they are accountable to, it hurts more to say, I'm off track. I didn't hit my number. It hurts more. And when it hurts more, we prioritize it higher. The very last thing you want to do is show up to a meeting or to a call or to a face-to-face with an accountability partner or a group of people you are accountable to and say, I didn't do it. Because there's no excuse good enough for I didn't do it other than I'm dead in a ditch. Like that's the only good excuse. Because if it's important and if it's a priority and if it matters, you will and you can make space for it. And if it's not important and it doesn't matter, then it shouldn't be something you're tracking. And that's why accountability is so important too. If week after week after week you're showing up and you didn't do it, maybe there needs to be some kind of pivot, right? Like Jay's saying, your activities should be attributed to you, yourself, and you. Just because Jay's got a face for phone calls doesn't mean I should be doing phone calls. It means that's what Jay's activity should have been. If I've got a personality for drinking a lot of coffee and having a good old conversation, I should be doing that and he should stick to the phones. Does that mean I shouldn't make any phone calls? Absolutely not. It means that phone calls are going to be the hardest thing for me to do. So when should I do those phone calls? Anybody have any?
Er,
Right,
Morning.
right. Why? Because if I don't do it first, I'm not going to do it. It's as simple as that. When we are accountable to others, we are forced to be accountable to ourselves. Having an accountability partner and an accountability process is more important than anything else in goal setting. And if you implement habit tracking, that acts as a form of accountability. And then if you report those numbers and that habit tracking to someone, it's so much more successful. Accountability is key. Accountability is more important than preparation most of the time when it comes to growth.
Yeah, absolutely. There's these 9 steps that are it's not that secret of a sauce, right? It's just doing the right things at the right time. And if you follow these 9 steps, and you'll see the next one coming up, but have your goal, right? Clearly define it, have your starting point, understanding healthy habits and starting to implement those, knowing which numbers you need to track and start tracking them and breaking them down. Identify the lead source that you can lean into, right, within your superpower. And then the activities that come with those, identifying the obstacles that will be in the way, right? Like, mindset is really a big one with obstacles because it's so easy to just say, I'm not going to do this, right? But then there's the accountability piece too. Accountability is so strong. When I was making outbound calls every day for 3 hours a day, we would check in every hour. We would take a little break and message our accountability partners and say, hey, I'm on track or I'm off track. And if we don't hear from somebody, guess what? We blew them up. We're like, hey, what are you doing, man? Like you're supposed to be doing these things. So accountability is so important, but none of this matters. None of these things matter if you don't start. If you don't start, if you don't take the first step, none of it is going to matter. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to start next week. Well, I mean, shit, it's November 4th. So I'm going to start January 1st. Why? What's holding you back from starting now? Right? What's holding you back from starting now? Well, for a lot of people, it's the fact that you can have these 9 steps, but you don't have the accountability partner, right? How do you get the accountability partner? How do you know which lead source is right for you? How do you take this plan and implement it? I mean, like, these are the questions that most people ask. Well, I mean, there's very good news, and we have the solution for you. At Better Who, we have the WhoCrew, which is a group coaching and masterminds for property managers. We're going to tell you a little bit about what this group is. There's several WhoCrew members on this call right now, and they can tell you more about it as well. But it's a members only community, and we have over 100 people in this community. And this is where we put together the plans and we do these things together. Some of the components that we have, the right things at the right time. So we know from doing this, and it's not just about business development. I mean, we focus on the core aspects in property management. So we have bi-weekly live group coaching calls, and they're focused on the four pillars. Okay. So the four pillars: team, systems, profit, and growth. You need to really dial in on growth at two different times, right? The first time is like until you get to 100 doors, you really got to be focused on growth, number one. But then also, like when you have the right team in place, the right systems, and you dialed in on your profitability and revenue numbers, then that's where you can really start scaling and pour gasoline all over your growth. You have guides to help you get there. We focus on these different topics in the bi-weekly live group coaching calls. Hold on, did I skip one? No, I didn't. With that, right, and just here, back to a point here, the right things at the right time. I don't know how many people that I talk to that, we met you guys at the conference. And when you go to the conference, you have all these different ideas. I mean, shit, it's overwhelming. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna implement this and this. Well, is that really the right thing that you should be focusing on? Maybe, maybe not. That might solve the problem. It might move your business forward, but chances are, I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong thing. So we help you focus and identify the right things to implement at the right time so that you don't waste time. Having the mastermind groups, we have two different business owner mastermind groups, and this is all within the same program. This is all in the WhoCrew. You get the group coaching, the live coaching calls, and you get small group masterminds where we place you specifically in as the business owner foundation. That's if you're working more than 20% of your time in the business, or if you've achieved freedom, you're in the freedom mastermind and with the right peers that are working 20% or less of your time in the business, allowing you to focus more time on the business. We also have a BDM, a growth mastermind that Jessica facilitates specifically, and an integrator mastermind, and also an AI mastermind, which, by the way, and I facilitate that one. I'm the AI guy. The last AI mastermind that we just did, we actually took one master prompt that I created, and everybody on that call copied and pasted that in ChatGPT and created their own follow-up campaign specific in their brand voice for realtor referral follow-up. So like really, really powerful stuff, getting what you need at the right time. The coaching and the masterminds, like I said, we have a calendar in the app, so you'll know exactly what's going on and when, and you can jump in when you want to, right? We have an accountability partner program in there as well. Avoid the costly mistakes that you can make along the way, right? I mean, there's so we've made a lot of these mistakes, and so have our clients, right? Before they started working with us, right? Our goal is to help you avoid those costly mistakes. The room where it happens, just a little bit of play here on the Hamilton, but being in the right place with the right people and the right peer group, it's so important. As you guys know, being an entrepreneur can be a lonely, lonely world, and being around those right people, having that support is where it's at. Ebooks, courses, videos. Like I know Matthew just put out a fee implementation course, but also one of our coaching clients who happens to be here just did an outstanding presentation at NARPM National on increasing your revenue. And we recorded that. And it was his idea for us to use that recording and to add it to our resources. Like these are people that are in the group around you that want to give back, that want to grow together. And like that's really powerful. I was so happy to hear that. Courses, videos, like the things that you need. And we point you in the right direction when you need those things, but they're easy to find within the app. We're using the Circle app. We're going to be launching that here soon in the private community. We're going to be announcing that here in the next week or two, I think Jessica had mentioned. Increased revenue. So these are real results. 3 years, right? 67% growth of revenue in year one, 72% in year two, 59% in the last year. That's the difference that it makes when you have a plan to follow and when you work that plan. Like that's the main difference. AI forward solutions. We built an AI powered coach that we're launching to only members of the WhoCrew. And the AI powered coach, Betty, she will document your policies and she will be the place where your team can ask the questions. Instead of asking Jessica, they'll just ask Betty. Like, when's rent late? What's our policy on this? Right? All of the answers in one place. And Betty, who our AI powered coach, will help you get there. All of this stuff is included in the one membership. Not only do you get one seat for you, but you also get an additional seat for one of your team members. They will not be in the business owner masterminds. They would be in the BDM integrator or AI, but they would also be on the group coaching calls. They would have access to the resources. They would have access to the accountability partner program. All of this stuff you don't have to worry about. There's no guesswork because you're going to get a 30-minute onboarding session. One of the most complicated things when you join any new program is trying to figure out, like, where do I start? What do I do? No worries. We got that covered with you in a 30-minute onboarding session so that you'll know exactly where you need to go for what resources. And then also, we just launched, if anybody's using Notion, and if you're not, you should be, we just launched our free Notion template. And if you have projects, if you wanted to find projects to move your business forward, but you're like, how do I keep track of these things? And how do I know what my team's doing? How do I keep them accountable? Where do we have our core values? Where do we have our policies, right? Like, where are our processes? Where do I go to find the meetings information? All this stuff in one place. And this is free to you if you're in the WhoCrew. This is your Notion template. It'll take you to all the pages that you need in your business. We built this out just for you. So literally the live group calls, the masterminds, the tools and resources, the app, Betty Who, having 2 seats, the Notion template, the onboarding session, all of that stuff included, the accountability partner, the right mindset. Again, you don't have to go this alone, right? We're here with you. The rest of the WhoCrew is here with you too. You have 2 options. You can, there's a 12-month commitment and it's only $497 per month, which I think we can agree to put together that, to be able to put together a plan, to have access to the group coaching, access to the peer group, the Notion templates, all of the resources, $497 a month is a no-brainer. And if you want to pay the year in advance, you get 2 months free. So that would be $49.97 now if you wanted to pay for the year in advance. Jess, what do you want to add about the WhoCrew? Jess runs our WhoCrew. She's the person. What do you want to add?
I think my favorite part of the WhoCrew is absolutely the exclusive community. It was so awesome at conference to see the members of the WhoCrew connect during our meetups that we had and actually, share ideas and takeaways in person with each other. It also has been awesome to see how everybody's more connected after the fact, having spent some time together. And then, of course, the whole community concept, right, where we have members able to communicate inside of our community daily, hourly, minute by minute about everything going on in this and get real solutions and in real time advice and suggestions. I had a coaching client right before this call who's a part of our community. He was in the mastermind today with his segmented group. And he said that the takeaway from that mastermind today alone will impact his business in 2026 immensely. And I just love hearing those aha moments. I love hearing from our community and from our members how impactful their experience has been and how successful their business has become because of those connections inside the community. So for me, it's the community, it's it's the cherry on top, and I'm really excited to see some new faces join and the impact that those new members can have on our current and the impact that our current members can have on the new members coming in. So it's super exciting. We are launching Circle community coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm really excited to make some huge announcement inside of the community specific to that. So for me, it's the community and the exclusivity, but who am I? Just just somebody who loves growth and accountability, you know?
Thanks, Jess. I can't tell you how many times I've heard just from this one idea in this one session that's paid for my entire year, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times that I've heard that. And what I like the most about the community that from a member standpoint is that you don't, it's not overwhelming, right? Like, you're able to identify the things that will benefit you the most and do just those things, right? I mean, some people jump in just for the BDM aspect. Hey, that's fine, right? I mean, like, imagine one of your doors, a new door, the average lifetime of a client, let's say in profitability is $2,700, right? And that's just profitability. If you add two new doors in 1 year, that pays for your entire year. I put the link in the comments as well, in case you want to just click on that from your computer, or if not, you can scan the QR code if you want to get started. Does anybody have any questions? Yep, you got it, Tal. Thanks for being here. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask about the WhoCrew before you join? Anything about the masterminds or the coaching sessions or the resources? No. I know we had a few people here that are members of the WhoCrew, and I know we have some folks that are not. And I'll tell you, it's just a fantastic. We've grown so much just in the past year, and it's just exciting to see. We get together at the events, and it's just being in the right group. Any questions that you guys want to add? If not, either you can scan the QR code or click on the link and get started. We'll be happy to reach out. Well, we'll reach out to you in the onboarding process for the onboarding session. But to recap on the growth plan, right? There's those 9 steps, and this is part of our ethos. 9 steps: set your goal, know the starting point, right? The goal, the starting point, the habits, the numbers, the lead sources that you're going to focus on, the activities, what are the obstacles that might get in the way. And one of the obstacles, is most likely, right, not having the plan fully built out or not having the right peer group or accountability around you, and let's remove those obstacles and help you achieve your goals. Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mahalo. See you.